Hey everybody, welcome back to this week's podcast here at We.Eat.Fish.Eat in the studio with the one and only Hunter Flanders. And I'll tell you what, Hunter, what is new with you?
You haven't called me any nicknames in a while.
Well, you know what? I've been ice guiding, which I wasn't really planning on doing this much ice guiding, but Lance needs the help and business is good. And, and it's kind of, and the fish are biting. So, I mean,
that's like a revelation. Tell everybody at home.
Well, I'll tell you what, the last 4 to 5 years out in Winnebago has been a struggle. Like, one good day out of 7, I would say, and that might be exaggerating a little bit on the opposite end. So to see this year, I mean, that what we have going on out there, don't get me wrong, we've had a few slow days, but our slow days are better than the best days we had last year.
It's like typical.
Every time somebody calling me, I swear they know we're doing a podcast.
Right.
I need to change it. I'm sick of hearing that now.
Okay, I got something else for you.
I need something different. Definitely change of pace. But no, so that's really been kind of cool to see that our fishing's been pretty decent out there. A lot of perch, a fair amount of walleyes. Some days the white bass are doing fairly good, and a few crappies. So it's been pretty cool. Hey, we've been seeing a lot of sturgeon out there too this year, which is
great.
Yeah, which I think it's going to be a good
weekend.
Year. Yep. It's definitely, the guys are definitely getting excited here. It's always kind of funny, like when sturgeon season gets close, all the clubs got all the roads plowed like highways. Everything just looks like perfect out there. Yep.
But you know what my mind is on?
What's that?
I don't give a rat's ass about sturgeon.
Oh, we're going to get bombarded with emails and phone calls. What do you care about?
Pout.
Oh,
sturgeon spearing means pout season.
It does. There's no doubt about that.
My favorite time of the year.
So we got to talk a little bit about the pout thing. So last year we had really good weather, and we had 3 days that were just like phenomenal. And we're like, oh, this is going to be just one of the best years ever. And we had a huge cold front come in. Boom. It just shut it. They were gone, like non-existent. And realistically, I checked them pout every day for 14 days and never caught more than 3.
So
a lot of days, none.
That's one thing I want to ask you about. And there's some other things I want to ask you today, but I only get to do the pout maybe on a weekend or after work. I'll run out there something or in the morning. But I feel like to really stay consistently good on the pout, at least on Winnebago, is you got to be out there and you got to be like aware of what's going on. Like any good fishing,
right.
The more you're out there, the more you understand.
That's a fact.
So for a guy who was out there and you were chasing him for 2 weeks, what is your formula? I guess because, like you said, you're like, dude, there's got to be fish here. This is a great spot. And I'm like, and I was in the shack. You'd be dragging me. I got the camera. I'm like, Larry, there's no pout, man. He's like, no way. I'm like, hey, take me to the next spot.
Right.
So what did you find?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, obviously it all depends on the temperature, but is just to try to get on that right gravel, spot, the right base for them to come in there. And realistically, they're not really like biting the bite. Most of the time you're just pounding that bottom and they're hitting on a reactionary bite,
Yeah.
So a lot of times what I'll do is I'm starting off a little bit deeper, like when the season's just starting, when they're just starting to, like the males are starting to come up. There's a few females and the males are just starting to search and see what's going on. I'll be out a little deeper, 6 to 9 feet of water, but when it's in full blown swing, spawning time, and the pout are the first fish there is to spawn. They spawn underneath the ice. Then I'm 3 to 6 feet of water is I'm dialed right there. And I have a few little secret spots that I think are good.
You didn't take me there.
Well, there's a reason why you don't do that, right?
Yes.
So I mean, there's your traditional spots where everybody fishes. Of course, off of Wentz right there. Them whole areas really take a lot of pressure, but and they're good spots. Don't get me wrong, but there's pout that spawn all over the whole lake.
Yeah.
North Shore. East Shore. They spawn all over. But and I don't think they see as much pressure as they do off of Wentz right there.
Yeah,
but yeah, the pout are an interesting species. And didn't we see a video on that that a bunch of biologists did not too long ago?
A survey, yeah. Very interesting. Actually, we'll drop the link in the.
Check this out
in the comments or in the description on their YouTube channel. We'll drop the link to that. Very interesting video. And I was going to send you that. I forgot to do that. But they put trackers in pout like we always talked about. I wish they freaking put trackers in pout in Winnebago. But it showed that they're pretty much not like we thought, that they just live in the mud all year. It's not the case.
And that's
they're active.
Yeah, and I thought the same thing, because actually when we were up at Lake of the Woods, I was talking to one of the commercial fishermen that used to do the pout business up there, and because they'd use the oil. I mean, that was a big thing. They would sell the cod liver oil. And, you know, he told me that's what they do, is they just go in the mud and they bury themselves. But you think about it, you know, it'd be kind of weird that they could go all year without eating, right? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of species in the winter that, you know, basically go kind of dormant and don't feed a lot. But then your water temperature, you know, is warm, and usually your fish are more active. So this survey and what they did was very, very interesting. So if you want to learn more about pout, you know, it is extremely rare to catch a pout any time of the year besides, you know, in the winter. You know,
I love them. They're my favorite fish to
fish. They're cool
for.
Looking. I love, you know, we've talked about this before. The cool thing about a pout is obviously they're delicious to eat, you know. But the other part is that, like, there's so many different types of patterns that they have on them. You know, they don't all look the same. So, and they are hard to hold on to.
They're just cool.
Yeah, you, when you're fishing them, really, the perfect thing to have is, you ever see them little bitty gaff hooks that have a big treble hook on them? Yep. That's almost the perfect thing if you're going to catch them and obviously keep some to eat. Is that because, I mean, to get your hands on that pout, well, look at that, what happened up on Poygan.
You botched it.
I botched one, and that's one of the first pout that I've ever caught on Poygan, or we ever seen on Poygan. So, but yeah, they're just hard to get your hands on. I mean, they're slimy. They move so fast. You know, they're cool fish.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of somebody cool, we got an awesome guest this week on the show. We have Tom from Moonshine Lures. And Moonshine Lures is a new sponsor of the show. Well, not really new anymore, but they've been on board for about a month and a half now. And we're super excited. You guys might know them for the Shiver Minnow, and they have a whole salmon lineup. But they got some new stuff. And we've tried a few of their shaker spoons and a perch episode. That'll actually be, that was last week's episode.
Yep.
But really excited to be working with them. Like, the glow paint is unbelievable. I've never seen a bait glow so much, last so long. And Tom's going to come on today and talk about some of the new stuff that they have and how he got started with Moonshine Lures. He's going to talk about a few of the baits and some other stuff, right?
You know, Tom is pretty secretive when it comes to the painting part of his business, but everything else, he's definitely I'm very excited. Can't wait to fish with him because I've talked to him enough times. He's definitely a very detailed fisherman too. So, because when you look at the baits, the detailing that's in every series that he makes, it's just not Tom. Holy!
Did you eat a nightcrawler?
No, I think I ate a couple of waxworms. You know, but Tom is not that guy that owns a tackle business that just gets samples from China and looks at them and says, well, that looks pretty good, I'm going to order these.
No, he's making them.
He's making the stuff and
trying them.
Or, you know, his pro staff. I mean, he's got a great pro staff, a great line of people that really help him develop a lot of products. And really, that is the key. You know, it's the key with anything. But when it comes to the fishing world, if you can find yourself and group yourself in with some really dialed in people that are passionate and have really good eye for detailing and know it's not just about going out and catching fish, but understanding why you're catching them fish, them are the people that you want building your baits, you know?
Yeah. No doubt. So we're excited to have Tom today, but you have to go back on the lake real quick, and then you'll come back in because you do some stuff with the shacks and be moving shacks and stuff.
Yep, you know, it's busy out there, which is pretty cool to see. You know, Lightning Lance obviously is running the operation now and doing a fantastic job. And yeah, so I'm kind of the helper now.
Yeah, you're kind of like you're in and out of the office all the time.
Right, I kind of like being the helper.
But before we have Tom on, there's something that we need to discuss, Larry. You know, you were just up by Tommy Hicks, and you filmed an episode of BTC TV.
Yep.
Because you were non-existent.
I was non-existent, and this is an interesting deal. So here, I'll tell you the story. This is the first time in 6 years that we had filmed in a show, and basically I was not in the show. I was there. I was actually in the back of a Sherp, and I had, the night before we went out to eat, and definitely got food poisoning. That was probably the first time I've ever got food poisoning, and it was horrible. Like, it was coming out the back end as fast as, and it was like a spray.
Yeah, like
it was not pretty.
I'm thinking of a cat, you know?
Right.
But you know, for you to get food poisoning is pretty amazing because you have an iron stomach. You eat a lot of crap, and you eat anything and everything, and you eat a lot.
I typically do. Yep,
so
and I do.
You must have had like bad stuff, man.
It was bad. Well,
straight from China lab.
Well, it could have been, because let me tell you this. So we got done eating, and so we went over to the casino. That's where we were staying, and great accommodations there. And, you know, and right over there, my stomach was just turning already. So, you know, we get there, you know, get into the hotel room. I take care of business. Well, I fall asleep for about maybe an hour. And boy, I was up every 20 minutes, and it was not pretty. So I'm like, I'm still going out there, you know? So I went out there. I'm like, I'm going to tough it out. I can do it, you know? Boy, I'll tell you what, every time I started moving someplace, my stomach felt like it was going to explode.
So you had like the stomach, like it was rolling. Did you have stomach cramps?
I had stomach cramps, and, you know, I was very nauseous, you know, and I never puke. Like, there's only been a couple times in my life that I've ever puked. What's that?
I'm just counting the times that I've known.
Right. Yeah, well, that was alcohol poison, and I had to stick basically my whole hand down my throat to
clean you out.
Right, and it still didn't work. It was just a little bit there. So that was definitely a different experience. You know, kudos to Thomas. He took over the filming there, and to Tommy and all the guys up there.
We
you know,
crew up there. You know, and it was about time. You know, Tommy called me that day, and he sent me a video. You sleep in the back of the Sherpa. I'm like, dude, what's going on? He's like, dude, he's got the same thing that I had when we went bobbing. I'm like, well, that's not good. Do not step in Larry's poop like I stepped in yours last time. But it was a matter of time until somebody got sick on one of our trips.
Right.
And that's
we go on enough of them.
Yeah, like think about it. That's pretty good. And we eat a lot of different places for one of us to get bad sick.
You know, and here's the interesting part about the whole thing. We were all eating, we got 3 giant pizzas, and we basically were all eating, you know, for the most part, you know,
the same food.
Yeah, and we got some wings. So we all ate the same, and I was the only one that got sick. But, you know, like I was telling these guys, I'm not an expert on this, but, you know, you could have just had one bad piece of sausage or one bad mushroom, or just, it only takes something.
One bad piece.
Right,
you know?
and I got it.
Well, did you, like, not wash your hands at some point during the day? Did you go to a store somewhere?
I never wash my hands.
I know you don't, but I mean,
I'm not big, unless I go number 2.
What was out of your realm that day?
Yeah, nothing really was out of my realm at all. You know, I mean, I was pumped up about being up by Tommy, pumped up about, you know, the fishing and taking a ride in the Sherps out there. I mean, we had a great group of guys. We had Ben and Tony from Artisam up there from, you know, basically Eskimo and Ion. And then we had Rick and Terry from
the Bite Me Box.
And then Tommy had his dad Senior there. And then we had his buddy Box, you know, good guy there. And then we had his Tommy's new guide.
You got a new guide?
Apprentice, yes.
Oh. Apprentice.
Yeah, so, and he did a great job. So, I mean, we had a great group of people, and, you know, it was cold out, but like always, Tommy dialed the fish in, and you know, everybody pulled their weight except for me, and game on. We had a great show out of it.
You know, one time I had, maybe not food poisoning, but I had something like you had. I had E. coli and salmonella at the same time.
Holy man. And here's a guy that goes number 2 once every 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, the reason I got it was because I went to the fair, the county fair, and I used to raise steers, and I got a little number 2 in my hands from a different animal.
Okay.
And I'm not saying like I freaking picked up crap with my hand, but I'm saying like I got exposed to some other foreign number 2 that I wasn't used to. I was down for like a week. It was bad. I was so dehydrated. I couldn't move because if I moved, it was coming out, and it was bad. That was pretty bad. I almost went to the hospital for like an IV because I was so dehydrated.
Yeah. Well, you know, it seems like nowadays, especially in the last couple of years with all the COVID stuff and the flu's going on, it's just, boy, there's a lot of people getting sick.
Yeah, a lot of people getting sick this year. Not even, you know, COVID. I mean, like that we even want to talk about it anymore. But I mean, like, I would say it's starting to become more normalized. Like, it's part of the sickness that people are going to be getting every year.
Right.
You know, it's never going away. So just accept that.
I think what's going to happen, I'm just going to throw a little, I think you're going to see it toned back, because this is what I'm going to say. I'm just thinking that your immune system is going to start getting stronger and stronger. I'm thinking positive on it. And I'm not a vaccination guy. I've never been vaccinated for anything.
I think you're 100% right. As we keep continually to beat this thing, and every time somebody gets sick and beats it, it's getting weaker and weaker.
Right.
And so our immune systems get stronger and stronger. And I just read an article that pregnant women who have beaten COVID and have the antibodies will pass them to their children.
That's interesting.
So the next generation is going to be basically naturally immune.
Yeah, that's good to hear for sure on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, there's this one thing about life that I've learned. You know, I'm obviously 54 again this year. And, you know, it is amazing that, what the hell, you got that frickin' frown on your face.
54 for 10 years.
I'm 54 again. I'm not even close to that 6-0 mark. Right. So, but anyways, but things change all the time.
But what do you always say? Mother Nature finds a way. And humans, we're no different. We find a way.
Yep, it is. I mean, it's a very sad thing to deal with. But it's, yeah, I don't know. I mean,
we adapt. Mother Nature adapts. And the moon and the sun will still rise and set every day.
If you're here or not here, I'm going to tell you that much, right?
Hey, yep. And speaking of here, we're going to take a quick commercial break and welcome on Tom from Moonshine Lures.
Awesome.
For more than 35 years, the MRD Group has been providing superior demolition and construction services to a diverse customer base, both locally and nationally. Be it a complex industrial plant, site demolition and closure, or a new construction facelift to an existing business, MRD provides the expertise, manpower, and quality workmanship to each and every of our clients' demands. If you have an immediate or future site need requiring environmental demolition, remediation, construction, or asset management, MRD can provide you with a turnkey solution for your business. Hey, you guys, welcome back to We.Eat.Fish.Eat. On the other line, we have Tom from Moonshine Lures. Tom, how's it going today?
Good. How about yourself?
Doing good. I would prefer if it would be a little warmer out, but I know a lot of people who definitely like to ice fish don't mind when it's 5 degrees all week. And now you're up in the UP, so how cold is it up by you?
It's not too bad today. I think it's like 15 degrees out, but yesterday morning was 21 below, so it's making ice. The ice fishermen are happy.
Yeah, that's what they always say, making ice, right? But negative 21, I think it could make ice and not be that cold,
Well, yes, but some of the southern areas really like this cold weather, and the bigger bodies of water, it lets it get frozen so they can always chase new ice and go after the newer undisturbed fish.
Right, absolutely. So, Tom, how long have you, I'm going to ask, how long has Moonshine Lures been around for?
Oh, about 17 years.
And so do you want to tell me a little bit what your thought was? Because, there's a million tackle companies out there, countless of them. So what was your thought? You're like, I'm going to come up with my own thing.
Well, we actually, we didn't start it. Another gentleman started it, and he didn't have time for it. So I was a charter captain, and I heard about it from another customer of ours, and I was fishing, and I've always had an entrepreneurial drive. So, I heard about it and never heard about the company before. And it was kind of localized in Lower Michigan. So, and he said, I think I heard it's for sale. So I contacted the gentleman, and he said, yes. He says, it's too much for me. He says, I don't want to do it. So went down and met with him and came to agreement, and we purchased it.
Wow, that's awesome. So at that time, was the Shiver Minnow invented yet, or no?
No, the Shiver Minnow didn't come into play till, probably I'd have to say in 2007.
Right. And at that time,
I know not probably 2008.
2008. And, you know,
Yeah.
up until I had even heard about it, you know, everyone knew that the most popular bait that is similar to that would be a jigging wrap. So it's got the hook on the front and it's a little different action. But when the Shiver Minnow came out, it was kind of like, okay, who's this new guy on the block? And it didn't take long to prove itself that this thing was an amazing bait.
Yeah, it started slow, of course, you know. And it, you know, it slowly, we were already in the business, so it was easy to get it placed in stores that were selling our spoons, our salmon line of product and casting spoons. So then once, you know, we wanted to have something that, you know, I love ice fishing.
Yeah.
And I was using our jigging spoons, and I like glide baits. I've always liked glide baits.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that we developed that, and we started with the size 2.5 ounce, because that was the size I like to use for jigging for walleye and stuff on little baby knock. And it actually, I mean, the good Lord blessed us. It actually came together quick, and one of my first prototypes worked right away, and I liked the action, and so it came into play quick. And then, you know, we used it for just primarily ice fishing for a while, and then all of a sudden, you know, it started out in New York, and I heard about it from some of the stores we sold to in New York that guys were using it in the summer, and it wasn't long, and then I got a call from Gary Parsons in Keys Cavayas, and they said, "Tom, we're up here and we're just crushing the walleye on your Shiver Minnow, casting it in the summer."
Wow.
And it's like I heard about this, but I never tried it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Tom, they were up for the fishing the Bays de Noc for the NWT tournament trail, and he said, we think we can win this, and we just wanted to give you a heads up." And I met with Gary, and of course gave him a couple lures. He didn't really need many. He had purchased all he needed prior.
Right.
And sure enough, wouldn't you know it, I mean, they fished the series, and Keith got first and Gary got second in that tournament event casting Shiver Minnows, and a couple of the local guys were on the photo boat, you know, running around, and one of them called me and he says, "Tommy," he says, "you ain't gonna believe this. They're crushing the walleye on your Shiver Minnow." And he said, "Yeah, I heard that." Sure enough, they won. I mean, it's fabulous, and you know, the good promoters that Gary and Keith are, you know, just like Larry, you know, that it just blew up quick, and guys are, you know, it's still getting out. You know, there's still some people that, you know, don't follow the social media and all that, and that are just finding out about it now, you know, through events like seminars and stuff. So
right.
it's still growing. It's still growing.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely amazing. I know, like you were saying, I knew it was very popular for ice fishing, but when someone started mentioning it to use it open water and cast it, I couldn't like visualize how that would work, and it was like, there's no way that works, and that's going to get snagged all the time. But it didn't. Like, again, it didn't take long, and definitely around that time that they won that the tournament, that it was just amazing to see how fast it took off. So one thing I want to ask you, Tom, is what makes a glide bait so successful for fishing?
Well, I'd have to say it's a lot of the reaction bite. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's very successful for the fact of you can just, you know, it's not like trolling. Like, say you're fishing a spot on a spot, and it's not like trolling where you set up, you go over that spot on the spot, you pull a fish, by the time you turn around, come back, or go back up and troll with the wind. You know, you're losing a lot of time. These guys, now, and now electronics are just going crazy. You know, the development of this newer electronics with live scope, and Lowrance has their own version in Humminbird, and it's just unbelievable. You know, these guys go over there and they scan the spot on the spot, and they cast a Shiver Minnow at it, and snap it back a few times, and boom, you know, they're very, very efficient now fishing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you said, with the electronics nowadays. I mean, we know some people that we fish with who won't even cast until they see fish, you know, and then obviously you're maybe not casting as much, but your success rate is way higher because you're not wasting the time to just cast meaninglessly all day and maybe get lucky and hook up a few times, versus when you see the fish, it's almost like ice fishing. You're not going to fish a hole if you're not marking anything. And that's, I think, one thing I like to
it made them
fish.
So much efficient. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's why I like ice fishing so much, is because you can be so precise with what you're doing because you're actually visualizing what's happening down there. And now with the electronics, you can visualize what's happening way out there, 20, 30, 50 feet.
Yes.
So, so besides, you know, the open water snap jigging, I guess, when was the first time that you were like, this bait is like the real deal?
Well, when guys get first and second at the NWT tournament against all those, you know, you're talking the top pros in the business in the walleye world,
right,
fish the NWT. I'm not saying they don't fish other tournaments also, but usually that's the biggest walleye tournament that was going at the time.
Yeah.
You know, it was after the bigger ones, you know, some of them come and went, but the NWT stayed. And, you know, and Gary, when I met with Gary the first time, he says, Tom, he said, the first time I threw the Shiver Minnow, I caught a walleye. And he said, like, the first cast. And it was like, so then instantly, you know, me and a buddy, we had to go try it.
Yeah.
It took us a while, and I mean, Gary and Keith paved the way. They showed us the cadence, you know, and Chase and Tom, Kimos, you know, they all worked on it together, and you know, they kind of team up and work together, and you know, it just blew up, and then we got, you know, the fishermen. We're so blessed. The fishermen are so good to us. I cannot say that enough, that without the fishermen, there is no Moonshine Lures.
Right.
And they give us reports, you know, and they were telling us about it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I just felt so blessed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's definitely cool to maybe you didn't start Moonshine Lures, but to take something over and then for it to blow up to what it is now is definitely, it's got to be just an awesome feeling. But along the lines of the Shiver Minnow, something that people might not know of that came out this year is kind of a variation of it, and it's called the Fat Bottom. So let's tell everyone at home a little bit about that bait.
Well, we were getting requests for something that swam a little wider, and the thing is with the Shiver Minnow is a lot of fishermen were trying to jig it ice fishing the same way that they were jigging other glide baits, and the Shiver Minnow has a totally different action, so you have to jig it different, you know what I mean, to get to be the most effective. Right. And we're getting requests for something that swam a little wider, and so I worked on it, and I spent 2 years developing it.
Wow.
And we wanted to make sure when we came to market that it was something that was, you know, that worked.
Yeah.
And it does everything I wanted it to. It sits a little more level. The Shiver Minnow sits a little bit nose up. Mm-hmm. And when I developed that, when I had the nose up deal, is because sitting in the ice shack and, you know, you're sitting there jigging and you look over at your minnows in a bucket, and, you know, I watched before, like, minnows, when they die, they kind of like go nose up. You know what I mean? A little bit.
Yeah.
So that's why that shiver minnow, I wanted it to hang just a little bit nose up. And then actually when you drop it, it kind of does a little hop, and then it rolls. It has a little side flash, and then it rolls and darts down. And so then a lot of guys, you know, if you don't fish it different, you have to fish it like kind of like the opposite. You do a traditional guide bait. So then with the fat bottom, they can fish it just as the same way as a traditional guide bait, where, you know, it's got the wider swim, and, you know, you can control it with, you know, how much you drop it and how hard you lift it.
Right. So I got.
And some guys wanted the front hook, so
okay,
we put the front hook on it, and just another series to the, you know, Shiver Minnow lineup.
Yeah.
It's our fat bottom series, and it's been producing well. I mean, I just got some nice reports yesterday from some people, and actually it works very well in the summer. Also casting it as actually the Shiver Minnow, when you cast the Shiver Minnow, it has a walk the dog effect on the way back.
Yep.
If you ever watch it. And the fat bottom has the walk the dog effect also, but it's even wider than the Shiver Minnow, and a little bit slower. It's got a little bit more glide. The way we developed the fat bottom with the wider bottom, so it planes out more.
Okay.
And honestly, I mean, this last summer I casted the fat bottom more than I did the Shiver Minnow.
Wow.
I want to know, Tom, when you have time to go fishing, because every time we ask you to go fishing, you don't have time.
Well, you know, you guys are doing such a good job promoting, and the good Lord's blessing us with these fishermen that are following us and buying our products, that stuck in the paint room.
Yeah, no doubt. The paint. And I'm really excited for everyone to see next weekend show, but especially you, Tom, because there's a scene where Larry drops a Shiver Minnow in a Vexilar, what's it called? The glow ring. The glow ring. And the Shiver Minnow, I've never seen a bait glow that much. Like, it is absolutely ridiculous. And when he drops it down the hole,
ridiculous in a good way.
Ridiculous in a good way, yes. Right. I've never seen anything like it. Yep. And it drops it down the hole, and that thing lights up the entire hole. I mean,
and it lasts. That's the cool part about it. That illumination there, you know, I mean, it lasts a good long time, so you're not jerking that bait back up all the time and you know, hitting it again with the glow ring. So I know that there's a lot of top secret stuff that goes on, and which is, you know, I think all good fishermen are kind of secretive, right?
They are, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you can't tell everybody your secrets.
No, and here's what I was thinking as I was just driving across Lake Winnebago. Well, we got bombarded this morning with people. I'm not quite sure why, but there's a huge school of perch and walleyes out about 5.5 miles out in the middle of the lake, and we're about 1.25 miles off of shore. It's a smaller pod for sure, and which we had it, you know, pretty much to ourselves with you know, maybe a dozen other people that were fishing around us, and this morning I went out there, and there was about 100 people around us, and they kind of blew the fish out of there. And then I was coming across the lake to make it into the office here, and I went right past that spot where there's probably one of the biggest pods of fish that I know of on the lake, and there was one person there. And I'm thinking to myself, I can tell you, when the day comes when I stop guiding, I'm going to paint my snowmobile pure white. I'm going to wear white clothes like I'm snow goose hunting, and that is how I am going to fish. But there is a lot to that, you know, and good fishermen, you know, like you were just saying, I didn't get to catch all the conversation. I apologize on that. But I was catching what you were saying about minnows in a bucket. You're right about that.
Little things.
You know, little things, and that there's not a lot of everybody has seen that, but does it really click in your brain that, you know what, if I'm going to design a bait, I want the nose to be definitely up. And, you know, the cool part about the Shiver Minnow is that, you know, a lot of people have tried to imitate that bait, And nobody that I feel right now has even come close to that. So, you know, that's kind of the cool part about what you have going on there. You know, so let's talk really. It's not just the Shiver Minnow and the Fat Bottom. You've got a huge line of different products, and really, let's kind of get into some of the other products that maybe a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to continue with, since we're on the ice fishing and the Shiver Minnow, you know, we have jigging spoons. You know, we have those from 1/4 ounce all the way up to 3/4 ounce.
Okay.
You know, there's a lot of areas. A spoon bite works fabulous, and those are all painted with our glow paint. And, you know, one thing, you know, just to go back to, you know, about how you charged it up, you know, the thing is, you know, there's some critics out there that say that too much glow chases them away. Well, when you glow up your bait in the morning, you don't have to give it that supercharge. You can just hit it lightly, and it's still going to maintain that light, you know, that light, subtle charge.
Right.
You know, or you can supercharge it. You know, if you're in stained water, you want to supercharge it to bring fish in. That's, you know, what we're all about.
Well, then
but if you're in clear water and you want to do a subtle glow, you know, you go to a glow blue, which doesn't glow as bright as the glow green, you know, and you just, instead of holding the light on it for, you know, 5 seconds to give it a supercharge, you just hold the light on it 1 second and give a subtle charge, and it'll still hold that subtle charge for a long period of time.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And, you know, after our jigging spoons, you know, we have our new, well, it's been out for probably 3-4 years now. We have our shakers, and I know you've used them already this winter, Larry, our shakers with we call them our shakers. It's just a little brass spoon that's painted with our glow and has a little chain on it, you know, with a
dropper chain.
Yep. And, you know, for ice fishing, excuse me, that's, you know, the lineup that, you know, is our top lineup. And then, you know, then our salmon stuff, you know, that's where we started. And, you know, my passions are salmon, walleye, and perch. I love perch fishing, walleye fishing, salmon fishing. And up here in the UP, where I'm from, you know, when the walleye fishing gets slow in the spring, then we go into the salmon fishing. When the salmon fishing slows down and the fish start heading back south to the creeks and rivers where they spawn, you know, our walleye fishing's phenomenal. And so that's kind of always been my rotation up here in the UP. And, you know, we started with the salmon, and that's how, you know, after that, all the other stuff got developed. But, you know, in our salmon lineup, we have our trolling spoons, you know, we have our Magnums originals, and then we have our standard size in the same lineup. And then we have an RV series, which has been taken off very well. Just got an email yesterday from a guy that says the RV series is the best spoons out there. And
now, why do you think that, Tom? Let's dig into that for a couple minutes here. So, what really separates that spoon from any other spoon?
The RV series has a guy in Algoma, Scott, called me up, and I'm gonna tell you, you know, this isn't all Tom at Moonshine Lures doing this stuff.
Okay,
you know. There's a lot of development and help from friends and pro staff. You know yourself there, we're going to work on something here pretty quick.
Yep.
A new product.
I'm excited.
And it's not just Tom at Moonshine Lures doing this. The good Lord's graced me with meeting the right people at the right times that help me do stuff. I mean, so this guy from Algoma called me, Scott, and he says, Tom, he says, I got this special tape that I put on spoons, and he says, why don't you come down and I'll show it to you? And I went down one fall and looked at it. It's like, holy smokes, this is unbelievable. So that what this RV series tape does is when we put it over the top of the glow, when you rotate that spoon side to side, that it changes the way the glow is shown. It changes the color spectrum a little bit. And it also, once the sun comes up, it gives it a little bit of flash to reflection.
Okay, interesting.
So you have glow, plus you have a little bit of reflection from the RV tape. So that series went over well. And then we have our Half Moon series of trolling spoons, which is half moon means that half of the face of the spoon is painted glow and the other half is either gold or silver. So it gives you that flash in the in the daylight and the glow in the low light conditions.
Right.
But we found, the fishermen that use our Half Moon series can see that in the morning when you supercharge that lure, that glow actually is shining over onto the silver face or the gold face and actually giving a little reflection of the silver at the same time.
That's interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, and I got a friend, pro staff, in this business, a lot of pro staff become really good, close friends, and he wins a lot of tournaments in the salmon world. And he said the Half Moon series is by far the best blank he's ever used for salmon and trout. That's his personal opinion, but it does catch fish. And that comes in, we have that in the Magnum size and the standard size. And then also we have our Walleye Spoons, which is, it's a Walleye spoon for trolling. And that comes in nickelback or copperback because, some areas like copperback and some like the shiny nickelback. And that sells well, like from Saginaw Bay south to Lake Erie. It hasn't really caught on trolling spoons for walleye.
I'm surprised about that, Tom. You started talking about the spoons, and I fished Lake Erie and Saginaw quite a bit, and they run a ton of spoons there, and I can't imagine if you started running spoons here that it would not work very well.
I've always wondered that, like, why?
Right.
Why don't people
Something
try?
we got to try that. Yeah, I think because especially when you start thinking about the Bay of Green Bay, is the amount of pressure that these fish see every day in a summer day, is astronomical, and it's always about like giving them something a little bit different, which usually helps you catch more fish and bigger fish.
Yep.
So we're gonna definitely try that too, for sure.
Yeah, it's something, I've done it up here and I've done it behind jet divers, and it works fabulous. It's so nice when there's a trolling bite the problem is I don't troll much anymore. That casting shivers and shivering is
so much fun.
I know.
Yeah, it's addicting. Right? There's something about that thump. Right.
I know, that thump. It's just like, it's exactly, you hit the nail on the head, that thump.
Yeah.
But anyway, I trolled them behind jet divers, and one of the last times I did it, my brother was with me, and it was like, you net a fish, and it's like, oh, this is so nice. It's, it's not like don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing crankbaits, but you net a fish when they hit a trolling spoon, and them three little trebles are in their mouth, and you net it, and you're not digging a fish, you're digging the hooks out of the net or anything,
right.
And it's effective. And we've had a lot of guys tell us that they use them, and they kind of rig up a crawler harness out of them. They tie a little 2-hook harness behind it and put a night crawler on it.
So how long of a lead would they run off of that? Any idea?
I'm thinking they run, don't quote me on this, but an 8 to 10 inch.
Okay.
Just a little. Which
makes sense. Yeah, that'd make a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's a damn good idea.
So,
it is.
I'm visualizing it right now.
I bet you I'd get them on Winnebago like that, crazy.
Yep.
So then, after that, we have our we're staying with spoons. We have our casting spoons, which you have, a 1 ounce, a 5/8, a 3/4. casting spoon in 2 different series. We have a mainliner series, which is an old company that we bought out probably 4 years ago now, and resurrected that. And then we have our original casting spoons, and get a lot of great feedback on that. Fall guys fishing salmon, a lot of times in the summer, when the water flips and the water's cold next to the piers, they cast them. And then pike fishing. I mean, our 1 ounce casting spoon for pike, pike love glow. As you well know, Larry, pike fishing with Shiver Minnows.
Yep.
I mean, pike love glow. They love glow. And, and then we have our flies, our trolling flies, and crawler harnesses. We make a crawler harness and we sell blades. So
there's a lot on the line up there for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we have our Dodgers, painted with the moonshine glow. And then trying to think if I'm forgetting anything. And then our last but not least is a new development with our new flasher, and we'll get you some of them this spring, Larry, so you can get out and catch some fish with them new flashers.
I'm excited about this salmon stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the flashers are, it's a unique product that's patent pending. It's a flasher, and anybody can go to the Moonshine Lures website and see this, but it's a flasher that has an interchangeable centerpiece. So you buy one flasher and 6 centers, and it comes with a center. And if you buy 6 other centers, you have actually 7 flashers in one. So you can customize on the fly during the day, and
that's interesting.
To whatever mood the fish want. And everybody's, it's like you said, back to when you were coming in ice fishing, there's 100 guys on a spot and they were pushing the fish off. Lots of competition there. So everybody's looking for that little edge, to customize, to get something working that, can still pull fish when
a fact.
They're used to seeing everything else there. So with our new flasher, guys can customize it and change it to whatever the mood of the fish is that day.
Yeah.
Hey Tom, tell me really, besides working 12-hour days, really, I mean, is fishing your all-around passion, or is there other things that you like to do?
Oh no, I mean, fishing that's my passion, and going to church and family.
I was waiting for you to say that right there. That is one thing that when we first started talking that really got me excited, that your company is definitely a Christian-based company, and you are definitely a true believer. And it's amazing, like you were saying before. It's interesting when God puts these people in front of you that or puts you in front of other people that really impact your life and change things, and boy, I'll tell you, the older I get, the stronger my faith gets, and the more I realize that, there's a reason I'm here, and I definitely want to keep that motion going for sure, if that makes sense.
Oh, most definite. There's been so much divine intervention in my life that even, with the business side, just people, starting to sponsor you guys this year,
We appreciate that too.
Talking to Kent and Kent, it was on my mind, and I asked Kent about you guys, and Kent told me what a great guy you were, and then I got contact with you. And
you know how much money it costed me for him to pay him to say that? That was not cheap.
But I'm telling you, the good Lord's blessed us in so many ways, and I cannot give him enough praise and to him for it. And I have a good family, a great business, I should say great family, good business. Reverse that. And, you know, the people I've met along the way, it's just, I've met a lot of fabulous people.
Yeah, and Hunter knows this, and everybody in the office here knows that is one thing that I say quite a bit about this business. The best part is the people that we have met along the road. You know, I mean, it's just the outdoor world, you know, there's just a lot of great, hardworking people that care and love this country, and really that's what it's all about.
Yeah, a lot of salt of the earth people, you know, just down to earth people, you know.
Yep.
And it's you know, it's easy to relate with them.
I would agree. So I have to ask you one more thing. Why is 5 o'clock a bad time for you?
5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Oh, in the afternoon?
Yeah.
That's when I'm finishing up the painting process.
Oh, okay. I was wondering. I was thinking, I thought for a second like 5 o'clock was sandwich time, right? When like you were building some super sandwich, right? With nothing on it but cheese and meat, right?
No, that's just trying to tidy up everything in the paint room for the end of the day.
Okay. So. Just so you know this, when Hunter and I or one of the other guys come and stay by you, we definitely like relish and we like mayo and we like mustard.
I'm a roast beef guy, Tom.
Right. Well, we like stuff on our sandwiches.
Yeah,
Tom likes his stuff plain.
What?
Right, plain.
Oh.
Yep, that's it. Yep.
Well,
butter. He likes butter. A little butter on his sandwich.
Yeah, gotta have butter.
Gotta have a little butter, right? So.
No.
Hey, Tom, we really appreciate you coming on our podcast this week, and we thank you for everything that you have done for us. And we are really looking forward to the future with Moonshine and yourself and your family. It's just, you know, one of them kind of things where you love to spend time with people that are so passionate about the outdoors and passionate about God.
Well, I'd like to add one more thing, if I could, Larry, before we finish. I would just like to thank the fishermen so very much for following our product and supporting us. You cannot believe how thankful I am. And I just want to make sure that everybody knows that without the fishermen supporting us, there is no Moonshine Lures. And I cannot thank you guys enough for everything you've done for us. And God bless everybody.
Hey, appreciate that, Tom. Hey, you have a great day, Tom. Thanks again.
Thanks, bye.
Yeah, bye.
I think Tom hit the nail on the head. You know, like Tom's business, like anything in the outdoors, you know, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I think it's more, it's personal. It's personal when you're in the outdoors. It's not just nameless faces, you know, it's not people buying diapers or Kleenexes, you know, like you kind of see the people every day when you're on the water. You see people that you're kind of working along, you're working with, working against.
Yeah.
You know, like our show, like we say it every week, like we couldn't have the show without you guys. And we enjoy hearing from you that you guys enjoy the show.
Yeah,
and it means a lot to us.
No, it certainly does. And, you know, ice fishing season, I get a little growly. Like, I stare at a few people.
You have to hold your spot down.
I do, but, I mean, I still appreciate everything everybody does. I don't say nothing. But you know what? It's just one of them kind of things where, you know, you kind of like, God darn it. You know, I was just going to move a shanty over there, right? Yeah. But it is what it is. You know, as long as everybody's enjoying the outdoors. You know, the cool part is about this year is, and we talked a little bit about this before, is this is probably the best ice fishing season that we have had in 5 years out there. You know, there's not just one little pot of fish and everybody struggling to catch them there. You know, the perch fishing has really been very, very good. A lot of different, you know, year classes, a lot of good perch, you know, 8 to 11, 12 inchers. We've seen a few bigger ones, enough walleyes to keep everybody happy. And we're starting to see a trend where the white bass are starting to come back.
So it kind of keeps people spread out because it's not just one pod or two pods.
Well, the problem is, like today, is that, you know, it's a little bit cold out again. We got a big cold front that came through. So what happens, and we've seen this so many times, is these fish just pin to the bottom. So unless it's like the mother load, then you see some movement, catch a few. But otherwise, you know, these fish, they'll exactly just like you could drop a camera down there and you'll see they're just buried right in there.
So you're saying that the cold front's making fishing bad?
Well, at sometimes it happens that way, just different high pressures. It's not as much the cold fronts because we've had a lot of cold weather this year. Thank God for that. It's just really turning out to be a great winter. I prefer that it's cold. You don't have there's a lot less things to worry about out there.
Right.
Just, you know, makes good ice. And, you know, I mean, our winters are, you know, as we all know, they're not that long anymore. And that could change someday, I'm sure. But so when it is like this, you really appreciate it big time. So
yeah, no doubt.
So, hey, so what else you got going on?
Not too much. I mean, just wrapping up the podcast, and then you're heading back out on the lake.
I'm going back out on the lake, yep, for sure, by Lightning Lance, and take care of things out there. So, hey, so I've been doing something a little different. I got to let you in on this. So I've been taking, like I started this off yesterday, I took Brandy. They're a little scared about getting in the truck, but once they get in, they're not too bad. So I got 3 dogs, you know, and as everybody has heard, my wife is not a huge animal person,
right.
You know, so having 3 dogs in the house and, you know, I'm ice guiding in long days and, you know, obviously she's got to take care of them a little bit more than normal. So I took Brandy yesterday. She did real good out there, but she, after a while, just wanted to sit in the truck. Okay. So today I took Willow, and Willow has never been on ice. Willow's only 8 months old. So she's never really been on ice. And when she got out of that truck, and I didn't even really pay any attention because I drove to the next shanty. I looked back there. She wouldn't even move. So I had to whistle, and finally she came, and she kind of got used to it. But, you know, it's kind of nice to have one of them dogs
breaks
with me.
Breaks it up, right?
Yeah, breaks it up a little bit.
Somebody to talk to besides Lance, right?
Yeah, right. Well, right. Well, I'm not going to go there with that, but no doubt about that. Hey, everybody, what an awesome podcast we had with Tom. We appreciate Tom from Moonshine Lures for his sponsorship and for coming on our podcast and talking about the company and talking about God. Love when people do that. I mean, it's just, it means a lot to me. And again, we're very lucky to have this outdoor world that we live in here. And let's keep it going strong. Hey, we want to thank all of our military men and women for the great service that they give this country, and all of our firefighters and paramedics and all of our law enforcement agents. Remember, as of today, we are still living in the greatest country in the world. And no doubt, it is a great day to be alive. And guess what? We will definitely see you again next week.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.